You've probably heard having a strong pelvic floor is important, but if you think that training those muscles is just about doing Kegels, which I'm doing right now, you'd be wrong. Here to show us some other pelvic floor exercises is Stacy Irvine with the good pelvic floor. So why is pelvic floor training so important, Stace?
Our pelvic floor is crucial to so many things in our life. Obviously, going to the bathroom. So traditionally, we used to think a lot about urinary incontinence was the main kind of symptom of issues here. But there are so many more things that we now know. Things like constipation, low back pain, hip pain, even an anxiety that when you're out in the world, you're looking around for a bathroom because you know that you think you can't hold it that long. That is a symptom that you probably could do some work on your pelvic floor. It impacts our sex life, pain during our period. These things aren't normal if you have discomfort, but lots of times if we're not talking about it, I think people can just think, oh, that's just normal. I just have a small bladder, but that's not really a thing. So that's why we wanted to talk about it today.
So does anyone else do the pee dance as soon as you get into your house? It's like, oh, keep it in, keep it in. Okay, so that means we got to work on the pelvic floor. What else do we need to look out for, and what actually is the pelvic floor?
Well, okay, so it's a whole system that includes your diaphragm, it includes your abdominals, your back muscles, and then underneath your sit bones is where your pelvic floor resides. It's a diamond kind of a shape, and we often picture it as a bowl. So they're all attached. And let's start, why don't we start with the breathing? Because that's how we gain an awareness. Our first exercise is very simple. All we're gonna do, you're gonna put your hands on your rib cage. You're gonna, everybody at home can do this, our audience can do this. You're going to take a huge breath in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Now, if you're doing this correctly, you should start to feel the pelvic floor pulling up because it is attached. Now, I'm going to add to it. Try to push out your stomach when you breathe in. Good. And breathe out. And then try to push out your back. And then breathe out. Those are all part of that whole system that we need to learn more about. Let's take our legs out, Trace. We're going to add to this a little bit. So now what we're doing, we're going to reach our arms out wide. As we breathe in, we're going to twist. And when we twist, that lifts the pelvic floor even more. And then we breathe out. The twist also engages all of those muscles that we talked about, the core muscles, the lower back muscles, and those are all the things that we need to really think about when we're talking about pelvic floor. And this is also where the dysfunction can come in.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. It's good. And it's also relaxing.
It is relaxing because we're breathing. And that's an important point. We're going to go into our next one, but while we're doing that, I'll explain that there's the Kegel idea, but the other key is how do we relax the pelvic floor? Because that's where people can run into trouble too, is that they're always constricting it. So that's where you have sometimes difficulty emptying your bladder or constipation. So we think about what's tight and what's relaxed. This is our final exercise. We're jumping ahead to a very challenging pelvic floor exercise.
Fantastic.
So what we do is we squeeze the ball because that basically activates our adductors. Then at the same time, we breathe in, we roll our pelvis back and lift our hips up as high as we can, squeezing and pulling everything up. And what this does is really engages those muscles of the pelvic floor. Then we come down and we let everything relax. So the goal here is to kind of feel the difference between what does the squeeze feel like, and then when you come down, what does full relaxation feel like? And
well, I like the full relaxation part, Stace.
This exercise, come on up to sitting. This exercise helps us really understand engaging those muscles and understand, you know, why we need to train them. And it's proven with research that this squeezing is the highest activation, and that's what we want to be able to do. I think, too, the most important thing is see a pelvic floor expert if you have any of these issues. It's just like if we hurt our bicep, we'd go see a therapist. For some reason, because it's our pelvic floor, we're nervous about that. And there's tons of great pelvic floor physiotherapists out in the world. please go see them if you have any of these issues.
Yeah, because I'd say probably most of us do. So
I think you're
absolutely
right.
go get
I
it
think
checked
you're
out.
right.
Thanks so much, Stace,
Thank
with the
you.
good pelvic floor.